Well, welcome everyone to the Rooted Leadership Podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, Ron Artis II, who I'm told is the best FIFA player in his whole family.
You got that right.
That's a great claim to fame. Ron also, an amazing musician, award-winning musician, and sings all over and inspires a lot of people, and it's through your purpose. And and I know part of your purpose is this other form of introducing you, which is, I know what's most important to you is being a husband, being a father.
Yeah.
That's a key part of why you do what you do, and you never jeopardize the importance of them in your life, no matter what the life of a musician requires, that they always stay number one. And when I found that out, when our mutual friend that connected us told me that, and after I watched the film Reason, I mean, not only did I want you to share with our leaders here, but you're somebody that I wanted to connect with, that I wanted to feel some of that mana with, because that's the sort of people that I want to be around and learn from. So, who prioritize their life in that way. So it's just a privilege having you here, having you on the show, spending time with us, and I look forward to getting to know you some more. And we were introduced through a mutual friend.
Yeah, Tay.
Tay, he's amazing. Yeah. Film producer, and I know he went on some of your tour or part of one. And
he was off and on with us, I think, for like at least a month. But no, 3 months actually, because we wrapped it up in March, and that was a great trip, man. Tay's a great friend, great person, great artist. But it's like you really learn a lot more about a person when they're like being kind of thrown into tour life. You know, I think everyone kind of thinks they know what it means, but then when they get kind of tossed into it. And dude, he just was so adaptive and just so professional. It was just great to work with him.
Yeah, he is. He can adapt.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So that's great. So I'm glad that he introduced us, and in our institute here, he came out to one of our retreats, and he was just participating and consulting and leading up to it. He was telling me about his work with you, and he showed me the video Reason, the movie short film that he created about you, and we ended up showing it to all of our leaders in the very next month, because we meet with them monthly.
Yeah.
And we watched that because that month we were focused in on purpose and meaning, and so we watched your whole short film. And so our leaders that you're gonna, at least from this year, there's gonna be a few different groups of years. We have them in cohorts that will be there tonight. But the year that is the most recent, kind of the graduating year, they will, they've been excited
That's cool.
for you to come out, because they watched your film and we kind of hyped it up. So, but we loved the video. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind, the story that is in that film, Reason, started a long time before, but what was the inspiration behind it all?
So there was no script for that. It was just like, pretty much that's our life. That's our, like, how we tour and how we travel. I mean, even getting here, it was like, we were traveling from Nashville, and we were just coming out of a tornado. We just had a nasty tornado like 5 days ago. And, get my family together, having no power, like doing the packing, finishing an event we were going to do. And getting out here, we're just like, it comes down to like the music industry that we navigate and that I work in, the entertainment industry in a whole. It's more of a singles person game kind of concept. Yeah. It's like, wow, you do something, we think the public's going to like it. Let's take you out of your environment and do it. Be happy, like, be thrilled and just go. And then it was kind of like, well, why are you not the same?
Yeah.
It's why you pulled this tree out of its environment, and it was just like,
it changes you.
It changes you. So my wife and I, we decided early on, we didn't come together, start to build all these things together to just build lives apart. So thankfully for us, we started before we had our first daughter, and then we just continued once she was born. And the joke was, we thought it's going to be pretty simple, it's just buying another ticket.
Yeah.
For your kid, right? Obviously, it's not. You're packing extra bags, you're packing all the supplies, you're getting up at 6 a.m. even after a late night, because kids don't care what time they went to bed. They're up. So it was like, oh man, it was just, but the really heavy part for Yuli and I, when that documentary was done, was everyone thinks their life is normal, like what they're dealing with. It wasn't until we sat down and watched the rough cut with Tay that we're like, that's why we're so tired.
Yeah.
You know?
He
We're
does a
like,
good job in the
Yeah.
film, kind of portraying the hustle and how
Yeah.
exhausted you guys
Yeah,
feel.
that one scene where we're in New York City and like we're all masked up, crossing the street, just like towards the back end of the pandemic. And you know, it is like we got there. There was just so much. We got there, we had to get on trains, go to the subway, go on stuff. Like there was an issue with the rental car. We got a rental car because we always rent these big passenger vans. And what's not in the video is actually we valet parked it, gave it back, did all this stuff, flew back home. 2 months later, I got a reminder that I hadn't paid a parking ticket. And I was like, this is wild. We look at what time it was. We'd actually gotten a parking ticket while the van was valeted.
Oh no.
And they must have just tossed the ticket and didn't tell us.
Yeah.
So we had all these fees, and I was like, then we had to argue with the hotel, we had to go back. And it wasn't until the next trip, which is also in the video, the trip that we went back to New York. When we went back there, I was able to walk into the hotel, sit the printout of the receipt down, sit the ticket of my valet down and be like, yo. And they're like, okay, we're gonna refund it to your card. And I'm like, I was on hold for like 2 hours, talked to 5 different people on the phone.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I walked back in the counter and you realize you're not getting out of it.
Yeah.
You like settle right here. And I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah.
So it's like rolling with the layers. And one of the things I want to kind of include in a talk later today is in the midst of a crisis, not getting hung up on why.
Yeah.
You know?
And why it's happening.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't stop the fact that it is happening and that you do have to solve it. So why is important to help you figure out like how it started, maybe how to navigate if it's like really this changing, morphing kind of situation. But like if something really incredibly disastrous were to happen to you and you still have to get through it, it's like, okay, let's keep going through and then get to a space where I can and breathe and then dissect it.
Yeah.
But it's really strenuous on you in the middle of that chaos. If you're thinking like, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening, kind of disagreeing with reality in partnership with kind of just like getting caught in the past rather than being present.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you go out there with your kid, you turn around, you're on a flight, and your kid's sitting there licking the armrest of an airplane, and you're just like, we're going to be so sick in 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, okay, that's happening. I've just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like preparing, and just rolling with it and just, you know, accepting the chaos as your own.
So this is fascinating, right? Because anybody that's watching, listening, award-winning artist, you tour all the time. You know, you grew up a musician. I'd love to get into that a little bit, kind of your story that's in the film, but I'd love to hear firsthand, you know, what got you into music and why it's so important. But you know, you're on tour, you bring your family, which is very unique in the industry. I don't know anything about that whole industry, so you can treat me as a baby with it, but I imagine that's pretty rare. You don't see it a lot. But now you have all these little things that happen. Your kid's licking the plane's armrest. You have parking tickets. So all these just little things add up to where it can feel really overwhelming. Yeah. But then you still have to go out and perform. Right. And that's what's really unique, because a lot of us have little things that happen, but I'm not about to go on stage and perform and captivate and help people feel something, right, all the time. So that's a challenge in and of itself. So how do you work through that? You know, all these things going on, but I got to get out there.
So it's kind of like it's funny. I think a funny analogy is Tetris. Have you ever played that game?
Oh yeah.
With the bricks, they're just acknowledge the bricks are going to constantly fall.
Yeah.
It's going to constantly stack up. So I can get mad at the bricks falling, or I can just keep rolling with it. Mm-hmm. So knowing your kid's going to get sick, there's random parking tickets. The thing is, I can't ignore these things because like $50 ticket here, $100 ticket here, it's not that bad. Yeah. 10 tickets later, you're like, oh, whoa, what happened to the budget? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to roll with it, and the performance at the end, it's like, yo, that part I feel most natural about. Yeah. Because that you've put in your 10,000, 20,000 hours, and so you have the mechanics ready to go. But more important than that, you have to protect the purpose, which I'm gonna be teaching on later today.
Yeah.
Is you have to protect your purpose, because that ultimately, that is the fueling engine that's inside that keeps you going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once that has been compromised, like the last thing to show that it's gone is gonna actually be your technical ability.
Yeah.
That's the last thing to crack.
Yeah.
Like my example would be like I won't name any names, but there's like a lot of successful musicians in the past in history that have heavily struggled with substance.
Yeah.
And you see them, they're kind of like, they're out of it, but they still, their handlers would get them on stage and they will absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, I don't see what the issue is.
Yeah.
Until one day, Amy Winehouse goes up and can't carry a tune anymore.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, what's wrong with her? It's like, well, you've been ignoring the warning signs for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And finally, the last thing to show is actually the mechanics. You put your 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 hours into this.
Yeah.
Your body knows a lot of how to do this without you having to consciously think about it. So, but keeping the purpose in it is what you can actually feel a person's heart, or feel their soul. Like, what's that thing I can feel? It's like when you know this person is completely in alignment, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I'm here. It's not just a technical performance.
Yeah.
You can feel the difference. You can't really see the difference, but you can feel the difference.
For sure.
If I'm just like gonna technically show up and do a lot of fireworks on my guitar and just be like, all right, show's over. Thank you so much. Goodbye. And you'd be like, that was amazing, but I don't know, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And in our curriculum, in our programming, in the Institute, we talk a lot about transformation versus transaction, right? And one, I would say transformation has the feeling, I might be able to do the same thing, I have the same interaction, but if it's transactional, I'm just going through the motion. The transformation has a soul behind it, some meaning. Yeah. And you said protecting the purpose. Purpose is a big thing that we talk about. I mean, one of the first interactions we have with leaders, on the very first day we sit down with them, and these are all high performing leaders, and we ask, how many in here have a why, like a purpose that they can state in 20 words or less? And you'll be surprised how little can raise their hand. They have one, but they've never taken the time to write it down. I actually think that's part of protecting it. Like, you got to define it.
You have to define it. You have to know what it is. You have to just, okay, I'm gonna hold this.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny because, so like you said, some folks can go through their whole life and never consciously know what it is.
Yeah.
Or even sadder than that, think I don't have one. Like I'm just a person, one of the random billions of people on this planet. There's nothing special about my existence. And it's like, that does break my heart to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm like, there's never another you, and there's no mistake you exist. So, but sometimes too often we are our worst critic.
Yeah.
Like if listening back to this video, if I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen how I talk, I'm gonna be like, dude, why do you talk like that? Why do you choose these words? Why do you pronounce words that way? It's so easy to pick on ourselves.
Yeah.
In contradiction to that, it's like when we're young, really young, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's like, courage, complete courage. She's ready, so excited. And there's some points where we've been downtown Portland or somewhere, and there's a guy, a houseless man sitting outside of a business, and she'll just go and be like, you need a hug, and just grab him.
Yeah.
And of course, me and my wife, we want to protect our daughter. We want to be like, okay, but then we're like, we don't want her to think just because this guy's going through a really rough time that he's less of importance.
Yeah.
That he does not need love. And what the guy did, he just started bawling. And it's like, he's at a point where he starts believing the lie that he's invisible.
Yeah.
And without value. And then here's this 6-year-old kid that comes just boom.
Yeah.
But even as conscious and aware as we try to be in our life as an adult, you still have all these experiences and calluses that we carry and that we hold, and experiences that would get in the way for me just going as freely as she was and just hugging someone who needs it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when it comes down to purpose, and I talk about protecting your purpose, is one of the things, it's kind of what's the word I want to look for? It's kind of not confrontational, like a hot topic.
Yeah.
Is no one wants to acknowledge the biggest religion in the world today is money.
Huh.
Way back, it used to be we trade jewels.
Yeah.
They had value. We trade precious metals.
Yeah.
You could do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
We would trade salt. We trade food.
Yeah.
You can do something with it. We trade lumber.
Yeah.
Now we just trade paper, and it's our belief in it that gives it value.
Yeah.
Or it's digital numbers in a machine that's a bank or whatever that shows that we have a certain value that we could trade or share.
Yeah.
It's only our belief in it that gives it value.
Yeah.
Now, I come across a lot of folks who profess to have a belief system that they will not compromise on. But if someone walked up to you and offered you $2 million, would you toss your purpose out the window?
Yeah.
That lets you know where your heart's at.
Uh-huh.
And that's a tough thing. When I say protect your purpose, it's like, hey, if I'm going to walk out on that stage and I'm going to tell people what I believe they need to feel and need to be reminded of. But am I going to make someone put their checkbook back in their pocket who maybe would want to support me? Then maybe I should adjust what I'm going to say. That's not saying that I should go up there to say a hurtful, insensitive thing.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be a question. Because I feel the purpose over my life is to be of service to others.
Yeah.
Is to help people kind of get through this crazy thing that is life, and like offer my experiences or experiences of others that have been shared with me. And it's like, it's really a selfless idea.
Yeah.
But, you know, the struggle that I have to face is, we alluded a little bit to it earlier, is there is some level of popularity that comes with becoming successful at something. Mm-hmm. So then there's that, like, oh man, if you do it this way, you get a little bit more popular.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. How about you come over here and do this thing here, and we want to have you this, let's give you this car, let's give you a new guitar, let's have you do this thing and make a cameo. Then there's the temptation to make it about me a little bit more, because maybe I'll get more of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there'll be a really great retreat company that wants to like fly me out everywhere first class, and I'll just be like, oh, living it up. And, oh man, you know, get free spa treatments or whatever for me and my wife. That would be great.
Yeah.
But then you wake up one morning and it's like, why am I doing this again?
Yeah.
Because it's not a hot and cold.
Uh-huh.
Kind of stepping off of your purpose is not a hot and cold. It's not like, I'm with my purpose today, tomorrow I'm completely off of it, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
No, it's a slow wedging between you and what you feel you're meant to do with your time and your gift and your effort. So it's just like trying to be mindful and aware of finding your purpose. And sometimes people find it late, some people find it early. But I think it's just important to just kind of go on your own, find a quiet space and just kind of, in your own way, why am I here? Why do I have this gift that I have?
Yeah.
Like, what am I meant to be doing with it?
Yeah. Yeah, we talk a lot about, in addition to purpose, you know, just it's one of those things connected to transformation where you can't teach it. You know, we say often, I'll probably say tonight too, it's caught, not taught. Like, you catch it.
Oh, that's so good.
You know,
yeah, that is so good. Yeah, you can't teach a purpose.
It's caught, not taught, and one of my favorite quotes, I can't remember who said it. So kudos to whoever said this first, but you know, the two most important days of your life is the day you're born and then the day that you just explained, where you find out why, right?
Yeah.
Where you find out that purpose and you start to make decisions and live it out in things that you do, and there's no amount of money or fortune or anything that's going to kind of deter you
from that
purpose, right? And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, any person with purpose, with the why, can figure out how to accomplish can figure out how to get through anything.
Yeah, you think about it, man, that it's so interesting. It's like, you think about, like, just on any given day, we're sitting in these chairs, we're like, oh man, we're out of charcoal, I want to go barbecue, I'm gonna go down to Kroger and get something. You open up the door and it's a hailstorm. Yeah. You're like, I don't think I need charcoal. You know, I'm gonna close the door and just go back, sit down in my chair.
Yeah.
But you switch that to you're a soldier overseas somewhere and you just got back in, you dropped your pack off at base and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna chill. And they're like, well, there's a wounded guy 5 miles from here that we thought was with us, but he's down and he's bleeding and he's not getting back.
Yeah.
You get back up, you put your pack on, you open the door, it's hailing and everything, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're going.
Uh-huh.
It's like, in that scenario, your purpose is so clear and it's so evident. There's a time restraint. If I don't get there in time, he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be put at an inconvenience, but it's minor based to what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I just got back from who knows how long of a walk. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm going. So it's like respecting your purpose that much, why your purpose could seem so insignificant to you, because again, we pick at ourselves, we're our worst critics so much.
Yeah.
It would be like, what difference am I gonna make with my little purpose? It's like, dude, you have no idea. Something that's really small and simple for you to do means the world for someone else.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to Maui to give all these instruments to kids and families who lost theirs. I call up a friend and we're like, hey, I'm gonna call Taylor Guitars and you guys have tons of guitars. They're like, well, we can only give 2 for this window here because we're doing a thing at the end of the year. And I'm like, those 2 you're giving are gonna make someone's world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we've just been in contact with some of the families we're gonna be meeting with, and one mom was just bawling.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we lost our family heirloom guitar.
Yeah.
And my 8-year-old was just falling in love with it. And we were going to pass it down, and now it's gone. And here's somebody random calling up saying they're going to give us a brand new guitar. And I'm just like, it can all seem so small, and we can all, I'm kind of long-winded in my answers, but it's like it can seem so small. Little ideas that you'll have, like sitting in a chair, sitting at a sofa, sitting at a dining table at home, sitting out at a bar with friends, and think like, oh man, you know what? We should go and do that. That would be so cool. Yeah, dude, it's be so cool. But they can die right there.
Yeah.
Or you can just take one little step, call another crazy friend who's as crazy as you are and be like, I think we should do this thing. It's like, yeah, how are we gonna do it? You know what? We're gonna know exactly how we did it after we've done it.
Yeah.
Let's go. And then you've done it, and it's just like you get to see the fruit of someone just taking steps to do the right things for the right reason. And it's incredibly impactful.
Yeah, well, and that's a way that kind of keeps us in check, where you said sometimes we can get consumed with some of the fame, the fortune, or the recognition, but when we make it about ourselves, that happens. But what I've found with transformation and things that have meaning, it always brings other people along, right?
Yeah.
We say it goes from me to we. It goes from,
Yeah.
I might have started with an idea, but it brings other people like magnets, and it might start small, but it grows and grows and grows as it builds.
I love all that, man. I love that. You just said something and it really triggered my mind. It was like, we have 5 kids we're raising, and I keep telling my kids, I'm raising leaders, not bosses. And one of my kids was kind of like, but it's good to be like a boss. And I'm like, well, I'm sure there's few exceptions where, some folks will find it necessary to be a boss, but I find it very rare.
Yeah.
You can be a good, strong leader. And to me, that difference is like, I'm gonna set the example. I'm gonna be walking the example.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna sit in my position and just enforce on you what I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna show up before you show up. I'm gonna be leaving after everyone else has left. It's like the equation of sports is like, I'm gonna be Kobe. I'm gonna get there first one in the gym at practice, and I'm just gonna stay there until everyone else is gone, and then all right, I'll take my last few shots and leave.
Yeah.
It's like that example of this, and I think we need to kind of encourage more of the reluctant leader personalities.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Sure.
A lot of folks are like, oh, there's no way I'm a leader. Like no, you've got great advice. You're always caring about the welfare of others. You want to include everyone. You want the best for everyone on this journey here. you're the kind of leader we need, actually.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm not a leader by any means, no. And then you meet another personality who's like, oh, I want people to follow me. You're like, yeah, maybe you should be sit down a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it's like, we need to empower and encourage those who maybe don't think or don't want that position, but are made for it or called for it.
Yeah, a boss can only be as big as their title, as big as their office.
Yeah.
And when you want bigger things, you just keep creating more and more for yourself.
Yeah.
But it might feel like a lot, but in my opinion, you start to limit yourself because I'm only as big as my title or my office.
Yeah.
Where a leader, there's no limit. A leader is as big as their vision, as big as their purpose. It extends beyond an office space.
Yeah.
It extends beyond the title. They're leading not only when they are in a role of this is my title and this is what I do, they're leading in every aspect of their life, right?
Yeah, and another plus for being more of a leader rather than a boss is leaders are really able to have less barriers in the workplace because you can ask advice from the people you've been encouraging and lifting up without the idea of, oh man, they just want to undercut me, they just want to do this, so they want my office. It's like, no, you've included them. You've created this space of like, I'm in it for you. We're in this together. It's more of an inclusive, it's more of a power than a strength.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're done this together. We're building this. We're going to lead and get to this space. Where so as a boss, sometimes, whether you realize it or not, you have to be this protected fortress or an island.
Yeah.
Because if you're giving away some of that power you've accumulated as a boss, there's the idea someone wants that spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A boss is constantly looking for reinforcements of their image, or they're defending it.
Yeah.
Right. And a leader is getting lost in their purpose.
The purpose.
Getting lost in other people.
There.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly infectious.
Yeah.
It's incredibly infectious. Like I've done some jobs where you can just see, hey, this person is just, they're all in. They're leading this, and it's not about them.
Yeah.
Of course I want to be a part of that. I want to support that. That's great. I'm in. Like, what can I do? Like, and it's amazing, especially when it's done for a really healthy purpose, a healthy reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and people are drawn to it. I want to go back to, well, we've been talking about purpose, but I want to go back to kind of where you feel yours came from. I know in the video, in the film, you kind of talk about your dad and how he instilled things. I mean, tell us a little bit about that journey, where it came from, why it's so important about where it came from to you.
Okay, so I, with people, you know, if they haven't figured out right now, they should just go ask my family. When I was young, I was a really arrogant little prick. I'm just gonna say it, man. Like, I wanted to be the best guitar player in the world. I wanted to be the most competitive linebacker in football. The other half of me just never showed up, you know? And I was like, dude, anything, I was just gonna super over apply myself. I wanted to be really great at it, really great at it, really great at it. And, but the one thing I was terrified of in music was singing. Like, it never crossed my mind that that's something I was gonna do.
Yeah. Never.
It was just like, and hadn't identified why. But so I'm practicing piano hours on hours a day, guitar, bass. And my dad started posing this question to me. Why? Why you? Why do you have talent? You know, when he's like, why you? First it's like, why me? Why shouldn't I be great? Like, why? He's like, no. You obviously were given a gift. Why was it given to you? Yeah. I mean, when I started first hearing that question, I was about 18. Yeah. And I was thinking like, I don't know, like, what does it matter? Like, you know? Then he asked me again at about 19, 20, and so on. And it wasn't until about 22, he asked me, and I was like, well, because I love playing with my dad. Yeah. My dad was my best friend. Yeah. And we played pianos, dueling pianos, duet pianos, everything since I was really, really young. And it wasn't until I was 22 I said, well, I love playing with my dad, so we can, you know, hang together. And he's like, that's really beautiful and admirable, but, you know, I won't always be here. And that gift of yours and this life of yours is going to continue after I'm gone. So is that going to be it?
Yeah.
You really got to do some soul searching and figure out why it was given to you.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't given to you for you to give to me.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be more. I can't tell you why. You got to go on your own and find out. And he sat me down once and he was like, there's all these amazingly talented musicians and artists in the world who play behind these really popular figures, just to get famous or get money or whatever. And in the end, it's creating really destructive art. But they maybe never stopped to ask why they were given the gift.
Yeah.
We're just using the gift. Because you can obviously have been given your gift for a purpose and just ignore that purpose. We have choice.
Yeah.
So I can just go and be like, today and be like, all right, I know what my purpose is, but I don't care. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it really got me thinking. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to, try and meditate on it and sit on my own and just kind of think. And one day I felt it really clear. That God had put on my heart. He gave it to me in a scripture. It was Isaiah 61. To preach good tidings unto the meek, to free those who are bound, to give beauty and love to those who have nothing but ashes to give you in return. Yeah. Basically, you have a selfless calling, which can be incredibly intimidating because it's like, I'm 22 to almost 23 at that point. I'm like, so I'm supposed to go and like break people out of prison? Am I supposed to like trying to figure out the literal application of this? And it's like, but God had it really clear in my life because there had been people who had lost a lot. And in that moment of sharing songs and writing and singing, you can sing about something that's happened to you that you've navigated. You can sing about something that you've learned from someone. And in that moment, that person can be like, oh, you know what? It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have got this. I have been through something like that before. And in seeing that moment, it's like, oh, wow. Okay, I see. I have this opportunity.
Yeah.
In front of someone for a moment. I mean, I've met a lot of folks 1,000 times smarter than me over and over. Yeah. But rarely do they have an audience of a one-on-one with a person or one person with 30 people to speak to someone when they're going to listen. Having the gift of music gives you a rare opportunity to really offer something to someone.
A literal stage.
Literal stage to offer something to someone in an intentional moment. Yeah. And again, the struggle with that a lot of artists face is not making it about yourself.
Yeah.
That's the struggle because like I can go up on stage and do something and like we won awards and all this stuff and you can think like, oh man, I can do this. If I do it this way, I'll get one more award. Yeah. Or I can go up there and share what I'm gonna do. And I like to quote Brett Dennen, he's an amazing artist and friend. He said, planting trees I'll never climb. And I think that's like one of the ultimate acts of selflessness. Yeah. Is like offering something, trying to help someone on a journey where you're never gonna receive the fruit of that. Yeah. You're maybe not gonna be around to see it come together. Mm-hmm. But like, hey, I'm an instrument, I'm gonna share, it's gonna be a channel for the gift that I have to share something with you. I may never see you again, but I wish nothing but the best for your whole life. And surprisingly enough, I came to the realization that not many people ever hear that or feel that. Someone coming in your life to offer you something just for the sake of trying to help you and then departing. Yeah. Not sticking around to say like, hey, you're going to pay it forward. You're going to, none of that. Or like, hey, guess what? I helped this guy, Yeah. It's not, it's like, done that, then move on. Mm-hmm. And that helps to plant that little seed of hope in someone like, oh man, the world's not all what I see on the news. Yeah. I can really get along with that neighbor who has completely different political view than me. We can hang out at a barbecue and love on each other. Yeah. Yeah, you totally can. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of this journey that is life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing the word. Thank you for sharing all that too. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
But the word that keeps coming to mind as you're explaining your purpose, your perspective is responsibility. You know, like
Yeah, responsibility.
there's a responsibility that you've taken upon yourself to influence people. Where, like, you know, we use the term a lot. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, you have the stage, you have the floor. Like, go and do. But literally, you're given a stage, given a microphone.
Yeah.
There's a whole setup. People come to listen, to watch, to be a part of it. They want to be influenced. They want to feel something. And so it's an incredibly emotional experience, right? I'm sure some
Yeah.
people are there technically, like, they just love how you maybe rip on the guitar, right? And they want to, like, see that in person.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty fun too.
most people, it's probably very emotional. It's emotional,
Yeah.
right? And so what a responsibility you have to influence those individuals, and in a controlled environment, you know? I mean, you're
Yeah.
controlling that room, and I think that's an incredible, responsibility, and one that you have to take the mantle of being a leader. You know, that's not a boss thing to do. That's a leadership thing to do,
Yeah,
to influence in that way.
And on that note, like, that's why I feel so grateful to be surrounded by really good people, good friends, like my bandmates, my crewmates, everyone who's in our crew. It's like I feel honored to, like, know them,
Yeah,
let alone work with them. Like, you're gonna see some of the guys later today coming to the event. It's just like, hey, I'm on this journey. I'm walking for this purpose, and it's really counterculture, and it's actually pretty extreme counterculture in the entertainment industry. And then having these guys who's like, dude, I love this. I'm in.
yeah,
You know, and it's just it's flooring. It's so beautiful that it's like it does floor me at the end of the day. I wrote a song with my wife called Little Gray Skies, and it's not out anywhere. We played it at a show last night. We did a fundraiser. My sister Spirit works out of Northside Church in Newburgh, and they're building this, like, new kitchen for sheltering people who don't have homes, and the winter's really setting in.
yeah,
And so we did a benefit there, and I shared a song and backstory about the little gray skies in life. And one of them was, before we had our first daughter, my wife and I, we lost a pregnancy. And dude, you know, I wish that no one would ever have to understand what that feels like.
yeah,
And shared the story, shared the song. This morning I get up and getting ready to come here see you guys, and this couple wrote us this long message that was at the show, and it's like, man, I don't know why, but it felt good to hear someone share on such a really deep level of their experience. My wife and I are going through that as of 3 months ago.
yeah,
And I was just like, oh, you know, because there's a struggle, like, oh man, this is an exciting event. There's all the things we're doing for Christmas. Let me just play all the hits. Let me just play all the funky stuff and have everybody dance. But I was like, I think I'm supposed to play this song. And then there's a huge healing that kind of happens when we acknowledge the heavy things in our life that we need to navigate.
yeah,
And there's a huge healing in community. But when really heavy, painful things happen to us, we tend to go off on our own.
yeah,
We tend to shrink into this lonely space, thinking that no one could ever understand or ever wants to hear about it.
yeah,
And I think that's all part of it. That's all part of life, man. Death is like the ultimate reminder to live
yeah.
and to appreciate each moment, amongst other things. Yeah.
Yeah, life is full of the peaks, and then, you know, the pits, and there's always a pattern. You know, I had a kind of a spiritual mentor several years ago that said that being able to notice patterns in life is a sign of, you know, wisdom and intelligence. Like, if you can see that there's a pattern, you know, and not like a technical pattern that unfolds, but a pattern that's deeper, right? Like a pattern of of
Peaks,
one of
valleys,
one of
peaks.
them would be sacrifice. When you sacrifice something, as hard as it is, there's gonna be something positive on the other side. There's always something on the other end of a sacrifice that's worth it, you know, and that's a pattern. And if you can start to kind of harness and master that pattern, you start to harness and understand life a little better. It doesn't prevent you from having the challenges and the suffering,
that's
but
true.
you start to see that there's a pattern that if I endure this well and I try to find meaning in it and I can use it to connect me to other people, that there's something on the other end, right? Like that experience you had and that other family that reached out. I mean, that doesn't happen if you're not willing to, as we say a lot, we talk about the term all the time, being vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not willing to be vulnerable, tell the truth. To me, vulnerability is simply just telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
Telling the truth.
That's true, man. I don't know how to, like, having a facade and this whole thing it's an overrated lie. It's really not worth it. I get the there's a certain feeling of like, hey, I'm gonna project this image and I can have a security in it, but the vulnerability, there's something really special in there. You talked about embracing the changes, and I kind of identified in my own life as seasons.
Yeah.
We allow and accept every living thing in this world, everything, to have seasons.
Yeah.
Except for us.
Yeah. No, I always want to have the sunny day.
Yeah, we want the sunny days. We want consistency in mind and heart, and body and spirit. We want this artificial consistency.
Yeah.
And like if something happens and you're dipping on the valley or something, somebody's like, oh, something's wrong with you, man. You need to get checked out.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hold on. Maybe I'm just going in the fall and winter and spring's coming back here and I'm on my summer again. And it's embracing it and identifying where you are. It's not saying, and again, one of my coaches, I did a lot of fencing, and my coach, he always said, it's a world of and, not either or. Like, you can have psychologically a really bad day and still perform really great.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh man, I feel so bad. I need to stop feeling bad so I can do this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, accept where you are. Meet yourself there. Embrace it, identify what's going on. And trust you can still perform well.
Yeah.
But society doesn't teach us that.
Yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, we lose so many young people that in those valleys, they start to believe what they're telling themselves about themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I have no worth. The world's better off without me. All those things, it's tragic. When I wish more people could hear what you had to say earlier. It's like embracing that life, embracing all that you are, and realizing you're a living person. You're a living organism. Like it's like that, man. Like, the trees are gonna get their leaves, drop them, grow them again. We're gonna get fruit. It's gonna expand. The blue sunny skies are gonna drop some rain, so that we get those spring flowers.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful, but sometimes it takes taking a step back.
Yeah.
Maybe going off on your own somewhere to a new place.
Yeah.
Just walking or just enjoying life without the pressures, to just identify, oh, there's just changes happening inside of me, and I've got to understand what they are.
Yeah.
Because this is just more of me revealing itself.
Yeah, it's managing the expectations that we have in our life, in our relationships, right?
Yeah.
Because if I expect that, one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is, if I expect things to just get easier and better in life, then I'm chasing a ghost. I'm chasing something that will never exist, right? I'm chasing my tail like a dog keeps going around, and they just try to get it. And if I just think to myself, one day things will just get easier. Yeah. Someday it's just gonna get figured out. And one of my favorite quotes, I can't remember who said this either. I gotta start remembering who said these things, but it's, the path of someday leads to the town of nowhere. Like, if I just keep telling myself,
oh, that's so deep,
that someday things will get better, I have a wrong expectation, and expectations equal my reality, right? Like, if I'm expecting something to be a certain way, the reality, I'll be chasing something that's not real, that's not true, right?
Yeah.
And I have to start to tell myself that life is never going to get easier.
Yeah.
I might just get stronger, right? That next peak that I'm climbing, it's not going to be more shallow. I'm just going to be stronger to get up it.
Yeah.
And it's always in the journey, man. Like, and this goes back to purpose, to connect it back to purpose, is when you find somebody with purpose, they will tell you every time that the pits is where they found the most connection to that purpose.
Boom.
Not when you're up on the top and it's like, woo!
Yeah.
Like that might be a good feeling and manifestation of, but it's always like, I'm only here because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
And that was the journey of where I have the purpose now.
That is true. Truer words have rarely been spoken, man. That's so true. It even gets me in a reflective space because it's like, there are moments where my wife and I, we had $20 left in the bank.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we're supposed to do this and do that. Should we just not? Or should we just go? It's like, well, what did we show up for? It's like, all right, we go. We spend our last $20. We get there, and somehow it always works out.
Yeah.
Like, there's been one time in our life where financially it didn't work out. And I kid you not, we showed up back home, and someone had hung fruit, like fresh fruit and fish that were caught on the North Shore. Like, hey, caught too much, dropping it on my neighbor's fences.
Wow.
And I was just like, there's dinner.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, but I think it's important, and that's another motivating thing about the pits. I think it's important that when you're facing another one and you can't see a way out, in that moment, try to remember all the times you were at a pit you never should have made it out of.
Yeah.
And yet here you are.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say it's a cheat code, but sometimes when I'm really stuck, I'll sit there and think like, let me look back at 5 situations I never, ever should have made it out of.
Yeah.
You know, like a life-threatening one. One where you like expenses were out of control, like a problem at work that was like unsolvable. Like I did a gig where I booked the flights for my bandmates and I mixed up airports. We had a load in 1 hour and I sent them to an airport 5 hours away.
Oh, no.
and I didn't find out till just before they were gonna land. And I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be so bad.
Yeah.
And I told them, I was like, guys, I need you to just get in there in a car and drive. I'm gonna send you both to a 90-minute massage tomorrow. So I just need you to do it. And you know, it worked out. But in those moments, it's so easy to wire ourselves to be like, oh no, it's over. Of course this is gonna happen to me. That doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
Like, you're beating yourself up before you even get in the ring with the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I call disagreeing with reality.
It's good.
It's a major pitfall. And we all do it. Even I do it. Like something happens and it's just like, oh, this can't be happening. Ron, what? It is happening, dude.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now. And it's like, okay. Rather than fighting Ron, let me embrace the problem and see what I'm supposed to learn in this and how to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of trying to change the environment, manipulate the circumstance, I'm missing out on the only thing I can control, which is me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Can't control the environment, but I can control.
And that's kind of like, someone told me before, that's reclaiming your power in that moment.
Yeah.
Of thinking like, oh, there's this thing I can't. Yes, you can control how you can respond. You can control how you're feeling about it, and you can find a solution.
Yeah.
And again, that's like me sitting on a little sofa, deciding I want to go to Kroger and get charcoal or potato chips, and for the big football game, open up the door and it's hailing. I'm like, oh, I'm not going. Or my wife calls me, hey, car slipped. We're in a bad accident and need help. I open the door, it's hailing, it's whatever. I don't care. I'm going.
Yeah.
It's your purpose.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of getting in line and checking your why.
Yeah. Attach meaning to all things.
If it's not worth doing it, don't do it. But if it's worth doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Like, do it. So Yeah, it's really beautiful, man, because it's like, and the thing is, like, you're gonna find so many people that can relate. Of course, there's tons that cannot, but you're gonna find so many people that can relate. And when you find them, you can see that, just appreciate it, man. Like, get coffee, get lunch with those people, because
Yeah.
it's like, yo, I want to hear about your journey. I want to hear about how you navigated this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can share a little bit what I've navigated, but it's like, dude, and this person over here is, and that's what I love. It's like, you may have like, like, what do you call it? A-type personalities or something,
Yeah.
like people who are just like, oh, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna fix it, I'm hands-on or whatever.
Yeah.
And you find people who are super passive.
Yeah.
Like, that was a great thing about growing up in Hawaii, is surfing. The ocean is a great equalizer.
Yeah.
And we have these legend of power attitude surfers are out there. And there's one surfer named Moana, and she went out and surfed Pipeline when they were doing, Triple Crown was doing the like video your wave and send it in.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, she is like the complete opposite of like gladiator energy. She's like so calm, so sensitive, and she won Pipeline. And her husband at the time was just like, "You're gonna go out there, you're gonna win this." She's like, "Leave me alone. I'm just gonna do my best."
Yeah.
And I love it because it just goes to show, like, you don't gotta be all like, I don't gotta, much love to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, but it's like, you don't gotta look like The Rock to succeed. You know what I mean? Everybody's thinking like, well, I'm not like. It's like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You need this.
Yeah.
You need to know what your purpose is. You need to just go with it. Everyone has their gifts. If everyone's trying to be someone else, you never fully embrace what you have.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said about the, taking somebody, going to coffee, learning from those around us. Like, there's this thing, and I may talk about today. We share a common language in our curriculum. We all talk about the same thing. We talk about it the same way. It unites us in purpose. It helps people that don't know each other come together and go deep, right? But what I think that means, like translating it to kind of making it simple, is just pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's being taught, to what's around you, and it's really something when you think about this. I once had somebody on our podcast who was reading all sorts of things, and he's kind of a philosopher in his own right, and he said he loves reading because you're reading words from somebody that maybe lived hundreds of years before you, and you're reading them. Like, that's really something when you think about it, right? Like, I'm learning from this person, and they existed long ago. It's really something to be in that moment with them. But it's the same thing now. This is really something that we get to sit and have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's really something that you go into a room and every single person in there has a story to share. They all have something they've gone through. They've all had some pit that they've gotten out of. They've all had some peak that they've made, that they've summited, and that's really something, man. You think about that for a second. Like, we all have the energy to learn. We were just talking about AI before we started recording.
Yeah.
Like, how smart and AI is. It's taking over things. Like, there's nothing that AI can replace when it comes to human connection.
That's so
You just
true.
can't, right?
Yeah, and it's like we really worry about it because it's like, oh, it's in the market, it's exploded in this marketplace, and we're really afraid of things that we don't really know. But no, man, it cannot hold a candle to human connection.
Yeah.
It can't hold a candle to the creativity of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a sliver. It's if anything, it's a reflection. It's a mere reflection, blurred reflection of our capability.
Yeah.
Because we created it. It shows like our potential, what we can create, what we can do.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is, like, I never thought about books in that way. Like, reading an old book, like, man, you're literally listening and having a conversation or listening to the thoughts of someone who lived hundreds of years before you. It's incredible. It's really insightful.
Yeah, it's really something. And going back to leaders and bosses, and even talking about, you mentioned like the Rock. There was time in our world's history where if you looked like him, you were the leader, right?
Yes,
because
yes.
you would be protected.
You
I'm going to follow
you
that
stand
guy.
Up.
He's going to protect our village.
As soon as he starts talking, the fanfare starts behind him, you know, playing like dun dun dun. It's like, and what are we gonna do? Dun dun. It's like, yeah, it's like, dude, come on, we're behind you.
Well,
you know?
it's just fascinating to think about, you know, like the world's history, leaders needed to be certain things at certain times. Human connection was always important, but if you look back, there was a time where the biggest, strongest person was the leader that everybody looked to because they protected. For
better or worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, but it was like we had to. They protect us.
Yeah.
They protect our village.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow them because we're safe. And then it transitions, the Industrial Revolution, the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, I'm going to follow them because they're smart and they're going to figure this out. And while those things are great attributes in certain environments, right, and not so good in others.
We're in a new world now.
We're in a world now where
it's like we don't know what we need.
Yeah.
And it's like we need compassion.
Yes.
We need accountability.
Yeah.
We need responsibility. Like those things are forgotten. Integrity. Those things are all but forgotten in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It's more of a judicial approach, meaning I'll do the right thing in the marketplace so I don't get in trouble. Rather than I'll do the right thing in the marketplace because it's gonna help all of us thrive.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's almost all but lost.
Well, that's honestly what's needed, especially in something like leadership, because now we have machines that are stronger than man. We have machines that are smarter than us. We have machines that figure it out for us, that write stuff for us and do it all for us, right? But what can never be replaced, and this is the sort of leader that I think is needed in our modern era, that people will follow and need to follow, are the ones that know how to connect, that know how to be authentic, that know how to show compassion, that know how to be real, because nothing can replace that.
Yeah, authenticity. That's real. It's like I'd much rather follow a flawed person who's authentic and honest and refined than someone who has the perfect picture of being perfect and without flaw. I'm like, yo, I can relate to this person.
Yeah.
Not saying there's something wrong with the perfect image, but most of the time it isn't true and you find out too late.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing. It's like we tend to toss people who like have a bad history, even if they're refined. Like, hey, I blew it. I own that. I'm doing the work to become a better person. And it's like, yeah, man, no, you had your chance. Oh, yeah, girl, you had your chance. You know, whatever. We don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that person has worked through the dump, been at the top, fallen, and then worked their way back up again.
Yeah.
They have some knowledge that could be imparted on all of us.
Yeah.
Because when we fall, we start to think it's over. Why get back up again?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's in the journey back up that we learn the most. Some people that's where they find
and
their purpose.
I was gonna say some people you can. It's very rare that I've ever found a person that came back up that did not know their purpose.
Yeah.
Like to get back up again against all odds, everyone's telling you hang it up, give it up. It's you're done. To get back up and come up again, you need that purpose.
Yeah. It's powerful, man.
Yeah, man. Everybody should start that journey to figure out what their why is.
Yeah.
And you'd be shocked, man. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling. It's empowering. It's like, hey, I know what I came here to do, and I'm gonna do it. And it's the beautiful thing about giving something, and I'm sure a lot of folks know this. It's like you go to volunteer your time and give something, help someone. You get payment 10 times back than what you came to give. That feeling of feeling someone being helped, getting up, being grateful, that's, you can't buy that. Yeah. It's the ultimate human experience.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate human experience.
Yeah. Helping
one another out.
100%. Ron, this has been a treat sharing this moment with you.
Thanks.
I feel spoiled when we have leaders from our community or other guests that we sit down, just put on the cameras, and do all of this. I always feel spoiled because I just get to learn so much from people.
And I from you, man. You're a deep well, man. You're a deep well.
My deep well, we're actually pretty shallow well.
No,
it's just like you have no
but that's
idea.
what I said earlier. We all think that of ourselves.
Yeah,
We all do, man. But
appreciate
like,
that.
there's no one on this planet. I assure you, there's no one on this planet that has walked your specific journey.
yeah,
And all your experiences and everything accumulated before that, compounded by your purpose in life. There's not another you, Chris.
yeah,
Like 100 years from now, somebody's going to be reading your story and learning from it.
yeah,
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
going to think, oh, man, that guy, crazy idea of doing this program with all these folks, creating podcasts, making video, and years and years and years later, who knows how many centuries or whatever, they're going to be able to pull these things up, look at it, and
Yeah.
gain something. And all from a guy who thought he was a shallow well.
Shallow well. You know,
Love you, Chris.
I appreciate you, man, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. You know, when we've been talking about purpose this whole conversation, you know, it's amazing. You kind of discovered your purpose, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm sure that was several years back when you were 23, right? And it's not like it was that one time and never again. Like it's a constant thing, and understanding what that purpose means for you is as long as you're trying to understand it and seek it, it's like the things you learn and you go through continue to change. And for me, the last few months, I've been so connected to my purpose in a way that I haven't before, which is what you just said. You know, who's going to come after me? And I've been thinking so much about this link that I am in time with even my own family. And you lived in Hawaii, so you're familiar with the island culture, and they're all about ancestors.
Keeping it connected,
right?
yeah.
And my dad's from the islands, and so I have this part of me, and unfortunately I don't know a lot of my ancestors. You know, we just don't know who they are. They don't have names. They
know you.
But they know me, right? And I know they exist, and I haven't thought much about them in a deep way until these last few months.
Yeah.
And it's really revitalized, just energized my whole spirit of thinking, there's people that came before me that are my family, right? Mm-hmm. And there's those that will come after me, and those will be my family too. Mm-hmm. And I'm a link. And what a responsibility I have to be that link to them and to those that will come after. And that's to me, that's power. In fact, you've probably heard this term living in Hawaii, but the term mana, right? Mm-hmm. And it means a little different to any culture, in the islands you go to. In the Philippines, where my dad's from, the word mana is a literal translation to lineage.
Wow.
Your mana means your lineage, or his province he's from, it's pronounced pamana, and it means lineage. It means where you come from, and you receive your mana, your power, from those that came before you.
That's so cool.
And in order to actualize and embrace that power and that mana, you embrace and you accept them right into your life. And I felt, it's unseen, you might not be able to see it with your human eyes, but I felt that mana in my life as I've tried to connect to my ancestors, as I've tried to remember them through whether it's this or stories that I share, or things that I try to understand. And talk about purpose, right? Talk about purpose beyond what I do with my life. There's connections that go back, and there's connections that will continue to happen. So
that's incredible, man. That is incredible.
But
man, I learned that mana exists in different cultures. That's amazing.
Yeah, they talk about it a lot, in the islands, and mana is spiritual power. It's the energy. It's in all things, right? And that's all true. But
as are your ancestors.
Yeah, and I love
it's a tie. It's really connected.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and I just recently learned, that in a couple of dialects in the Philippines, that the word is a direct translation to lineage. It's where you come from. That's how you receive your power.
Yeah, man. That's true. That's really true, man.
So, this has been a joy, though. We'll wrap up, but I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate Tay for connecting us. Tay's one of those people in my life where
Yeah.
if he recommends something or somebody, I don't even question it, man. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, dude,
he's like,
man.
Ron would be great to have out. I'm like, let's do it.
Tay is great, like at feeling people's energy.
Oh,
I think because he's always in that
gift.
space.
It's a gift.
Yeah, he's always in that space. He's like always, like when he's around us and everything. I just feel like he's an open channel for like energy feeling. It's like, whoa, you can feel that Tay's around.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But it's like, man, like that's just to go and show like everybody has so many different gifts.
Yeah.
One thing I wanna close on is like appreciate those that see something in you don't see in yourself.
Yeah.
Like I alluded to it earlier when I talked about my musical journey early on.
Uh-huh.
The one thing I would not be doing is singing
Yeah.
if it were up to me. Like it was my parents that came in and told me that we really believe God told us you should sing. I was ready to run out of the house. I was like, no. I was 23, 22. And I was like, no, there's just absolutely no way, man. Like, and it was three things. I didn't believe I could sing. I didn't believe I'd ever be able to sing like any of my heroes.
Yeah.
And three, I was like, you can't name one successful lead singer that was able to keep their moral compass. I don't care who they were. Like, once they got to that level of success, it was gone.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my dad was like, well, you learn to singing the same way you learn how to ride a bike. Because you have an ear, so you have the gift, so, all right, we can get started. He was like, the second is, well, you can't sing like your heroes. Who's one of your heroes? I said, Stevie Wonder. He said, what do you love about Stevie Wonder? I said, well, he doesn't sound like anyone else. My dad said, why are you trying to sound like someone else? And I was like, oh, I'm stuck. He's like, the third one is the only excuse that was not valid.
Yeah.
The one about your moral compass. He's like, I don't care if you're a plumber, electrician, you bag groceries at the store, you're a skydiver, you're a musician, you're a politician, I don't care. Nobody's going to make you not do or do anything. You're going to make those decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
So your moral compass, I don't care if you decide to sing tomorrow or not. That's on you. That's not to do with whatever your profession is.
Yeah.
Lessons start tomorrow at 8. I was like, oh. That was my dad. Yeah. And,
Life-changing moment, man.
Life-changing moment. I lost my dad a year later.
Wow.
Yeah. 2010, December the 8th, 2010, heart attack in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And yeah, amongst a lot of other things, that was one gift that he imparted on me that I carry forever.
Yeah.
Learning how to sing. And man, cherish the people that see something you don't see in yourself.
Yeah, that's really, really wise and great advice.
Imagine he wasn't stubborn with me, man. I would not be singing and sharing things that I think are important. There's a lot of power in lyrics, man.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really grateful that he and my mom, that they vocalized it and dealt with this stubborn guy growing up and had patience with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Thanks,
appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing. And we're excited to hear you sing tonight, man.
Yeah,
You're
it's
still doing that. You said, I remember you telling me the last song is going to be kind of, I know you've sung it before, but I've been telling people like his last one's going to kind of be for the group here, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be beautiful.
Good.
It's gonna be beautiful, man.
We're excited.
I'm excited too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, man,
Thanks.
and looking forward to tonight.
Thanks.